Welcome to Highline Excel class number 27. Hey, if you want to download this workbook and follow along, click on my YouTube channel, then click on my college website link, and you can download the workbook, Week 5, Business 214. Hey, if you're enrolled in the class, just go to our Week 5 website. We have an amazing video here, custom number formatting. And in this video, we're not only going to do custom number formatting for the cells, but we're going to see how to use them and how important they are in functions like the text function and for creating labels with concatenation and true-false formulas. Now, this sheet is called CNF, Custom Number Formatting 2, but I have a bunch of notes here, and if you download this, this is the most important thing. Here are the symbols and what they mean over here and examples. So you can download this and see for custom number formatting what all these wild characters mean. All right, let's start out with the basics. Let's do date. I want to type 1/1/2009, Control Enter. Now I want to go down to Format Cells dialog box, Control 1. And here it is, number tab. We're going to skip straight to custom, but let me show you one trick first. The way you can teach yourself about custom is if you like a particular built-in number format, you can click on it, then go to custom, and it will show you how it did it. If you don't understand what each one of these little symbols mean, I'm going to click escape. That's where you come read these notes, and it will tell you what the D means, what the M, what the at, etc. All right, so Control 1, custom. We want to display the whole month. So we want January 1, 2009. Now I'm starting off with the easiest one. Time and date is super easy. Obviously, M means month, D means day, Y means year. But watch this and watch the sample. M, it shows me a 1. 2 M's is how you get the leading 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. A third M gives you abbreviations for all of the months, January, JAN, FEB, and 4 M's gives you the whole word. No way. You could just leave it like that, right? Click OK. And it shows January, even though there's a serial number under there. And there's all sorts of tricks just for that right there. Control 1, but that's not what we want. We want to hit a space and then a D, and then a comma, space, and then year, 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 year for 4 years. So that's our introduction to custom number formatting. For text functions, which we're going to do with labels and for true-false criteria to analyze data, knowing M, D, and Y is just amazing. It will allow us to create very simple formulas compared to alternatives that will be more complicated. I'm going to click OK. The next one is time. I'm going to type 8:00 space AM. The space in AM is telling Excel, oh, this is an actual time. It's a serial number too, just like the date is. The date, of course, is the number of days since December 31st, 1899, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. And time is a proportion of 1 24-hour day, which we covered earlier in this class. But watch this, Control 1. Right now we see H:MM, AM, PM. But watch this. We can just type HH, and it will give us a leading 0, :MM, SS, space, and then you have to type AM/PM. And that way it'll show us the hours, minutes, and seconds. Very important custom number format is when we have a time greater than 24 hours. Because, as we know, let's click here, Control 1, and go back to General. Oh, it's a proportion of 1 24-hour day. So 8 AM is exactly 1/3 of the way through the day. 24 hours is the number 1, right? 2 days, 48 hours would be the number 2. Click OK. So let's put a 2 here. Control 1, and I'm going to go down here. I'm going to type in my time, hour, minute, minute, that's all I need, space AM/PM. And what does it do? It gives us 12 AM. The reason why is because that number format will only allow you to cycle through a 124-hour day. So if we have the number 2 in the cell, let me do that again, Control 1, General, which we do, you have to do a custom number format to show 48 hours. So we come down here, and the square bracket is the key. Square bracket, hour, square bracket, colon, minute, minute. That's it. That'll show us, that's one way to show the time greater than 24 hours. It's the square brackets that's saying, hey, Excel, display more than 24 hours. So if we did 1.5, 1.5 is our number because that format is there. It shows us 36 hours. Now, percents. I'm going to type in 0.244. So 24.4, 0.244. And I'm going to apply my built-in format right here, percent. And immediately it just hacks off some of the decimals. Control 1. And we want to increase the decimals. Click OK. So we have full control over that. Now, Control 1, let's go down to custom number format. And that's how you do percent. And percent is another one we use in the text function a lot. So I'm just going to put 0.000000, and then a percentage symbol. Those zeros, all you do to convert it to a percent is to add the percent at the end. Click OK. What about a fraction? I'm going to say equals 2 divided by 10. That's 20%, or 0.2. Now, how do you write that as a fraction? Control 1. And we could go to fraction, and it would show us 1/5. But let's come down here, and there it is. The only trick to fractions is however many decimals you want to show in the numerator and the denominator, you have to repeat your question marks. Now, the pound sign there is for mixed numbers. So if you had 5 and 1/5, it would show you that. So the pound sign shows you that for a mixed number. I'm just going to get rid of that and just use that one there. Now, words with numbers. I'm going to type the word 25. Now I'm going to Control 1. And the trick to words, let's do currency. Actually, let's do custom. You can see that's how currency does it. It's programmed to show 2 decimals. It's going to put a comma, pound, comma, pound, pound will show us a comma every thousands. And that dollar sign is a floating dollar sign. That means as the number increases and decreases, or it means that the dollar sign will always be touching the leading decimal here. But what I really want to do is I want the word $25 per unit. So watch this. In double quotes, you put in double quotes space per unit. End double quote. And there it's displaying it there. It is not in the cell, you can see up there, but it's displaying it in the cell. We'll use that in an example in just a moment. Now I want to show you the 1, 2, 3, 4 sections of custom number formatting. I'm going to put the number 2 here. Control 1. Right now there's 4 sections to a custom number format. The first one is how to display a positive number. So I'm going to put 0.00. I'm saying show me 2 decimal places. And then I'm going to put a semicolon. Oh yeah, the semicolon is what separates the 4 sections. There's 4 sections, so there are 3 semicolons. The first section is positive. The next one is negative. So I'm going to put minus 0.00. And then a semicolon, and now I'm to the 0. And if you only have 1, then it will apply it to all the sections. So for example, some of the formats we use only do positive numbers. But if you put a negative number, it'll have the same format. So now we're not going to do that. We're going to have all 4 sections. So now we have 0.00 and then a minus sign for negatives. Watch this. I'm going to put a 0. I don't want any decimals. Just show me a 0 for the 0 section. And finally, the text section. And you can show blank if you just don't put anything, which means when someone types in a word, it's not going to show up. Now I'm going to click OK. I'm going to just remember there's 4 sections, 3 semicolons, and you can construct anything you want if you go over here and look at these notes given these 4 sections. Click OK. Let's try it. Minus 2. Let's put 0. And then let's type rad. You can see I put the word rad in, Control Enter. What? I see it up there, but it's not showing up. So I have lots of notes over here, including these 2 notes for the fact that the first section controls everything if you don't have those remaining sections, and some time, some date, what the @ symbol does. That's for text. That if you want something to show up a word, even though it's not in the cell, you put it in quotes, etc., etc. All right, now so we did that one right there. I'm actually going to insert, right-click Insert here, copy this down, because this one was called 4 sections. This one is blank, and I'm going to type in 5, and I just want to show blank. Control 1. I'm going to come down here, and no way, semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. That means all 4 sections have nothing, and it will always show up blank. So I type the word rad, it always shows up blank. General, I love this one, because sometimes when you have lots of formatting, or you're confused about what the formatting means, Control 1, and you go back to General. But let me click Cancel. There's a keyboard shortcut for this. And the keyboard shortcut is Control plus Shift plus this tilde. That is to the left of the number 1. I love this for date and time, math, or when I just want to strip the number formatting, Control Shift tilde. Control Shift tilde. All right, we're going to talk about how to use some of this. That's all how to use it in the cell. But now let's apply this to applications. The first one is a great one. We have a formula here, and we need to calculate our units times our number here, the price per unit. Now, usually you have a label and the formula input, but sometimes for whatever reasons you don't want to use a cell for a label. So Control 1. We'll go down to Custom. I'm going to put $0.00 and then in quotes per unit. I put a space and then per unit and double quote. What is so awesome about this, you can see up in the formula bar, it's a 25 there, but now you can use that formula input in a formula. It does not see those words. It sees the number. Remember, I've said this many times before. Formulas do not see formatting. Sometimes that is to your disadvantage. Here it's to our advantage because that formula is not seeing formatting. So sure enough, double click and send it down, and it works just fine. Absolutely a great trick. Now, text function. We want to look at a bunch of examples for text. Now we're going to see the text function and custom number formatting to create a label, which means we're going to be concatenating using the ampersand. And then we'll see a couple other uses for the text function. The first one is I want a label here that says all times before 11 a.m. So equals, and in double quotes, all times before space, double quote, ampersand, and I'm just going to click right here. By the way, I'm a bad speller, so I always have to spell check while I'm in edit mode. OK, there we go. Because once you concatenate like this with an ampersand and you have text in quotes, the spell check won't catch it. Oh, formulas do not look at formatting. Right. So it's looking at time, which is a proportion of 1 24-hour day. That's where the text function comes in. F2, you use text. The purpose of the text, and it's written right here, is text will take a number and format it like whatever custom number format you specify and create it as text. So the way it works is you put your value, whatever it is, comma, and then the format. Now we need a time format here. The text function, we can't just type in hour, colon, minute, space, AM / PM. You can't just type that in. You actually have to put it in double quotes. Right? So that's how the text function works. You just got to get used to that syntax. But there are many amazing uses for the text function. So now it works just fine, our label. Let's do the same thing for date. Equal sign, double quote. The criteria to match is, and then we want our ampersand and get this date. I'm going to spell check it, OK. And the criteria, oh, there it is. Formulas do not look at formatting. And since that is a serial number, December 23rd, 2010 is 40,535 days since December 31st, 1899. So we have to use our text function, text. Comma, and it is in double quotes that our custom number format must come. So double quote, and we want M/D/year, year. End double quote, close parentheses. So that is how we do that. Enter. I'm going to scoot this over here like this. Maybe I could also, in all three of these, add some word wrap. So we're creating labels, right? And the advantage is you change this, and our label updates. Same with this right here, 2:00 p.m. Another common one is we need to show the percentage in some label. So equals, in double quote, your rate is, in double quotes, ampersand. And I'm just going to go straight to text because I already know it won't work. Click right here because underneath it's 0.2555. So comma, and we want our percent, which is going to be 0.00%. Close parentheses, close, I'm sorry, end double quote, close parentheses. So we saw time. You have to know that hour, minute. H means hour, minute means minute. You need to know the D, the M, and the year. And here, a really common one, you just need to know that that is the percentage format to show 2 decimals, and it has to be in double quotes. So there it is. Your rate is 25%. Now let's see the more practical solution of the text function is when you get to true-false criteria. So here we have just a simple example, and then we'll go on to a more complex one, and then later in the class we'll get even more complex. Here we just want to say, does date match January 2009? January 2000. We're going to use the text function here. But let's just think about the custom number format first. I'm going to click in the cell. This is a serial number, and it's formatted to do that. But notice our criteria comes in a funny format. They didn't give us the date. They gave us the word JAN and the number 209. And sometimes that's the case. You're given that. Well, let's see if we can figure out how to do this. Click in this cell, Control 1. And we'll come down to custom. I want to see if I can get it to show up as JAN 2009. Forget that 20, but just that show up just like that. We'll come down to custom. We can see the December showing up. Right now, the criteria wouldn't match, but that's the form we want it. And then year. We can see it says December 2009. So that kind of custom number formatting will allow us to extract the serial number and create text that shows up as a month with 3-character abbreviation and the year. Click OK. I'm going to Control Z. And so let's go ahead and see if we can do this. Equals text. Have this number right here, comma, and in double quotes, month, year, end double quote, close parentheses. So right now, all we're doing is saying, hey, can we convert this to the text? Yes, we can. Now we have some text. We can do a simple true-false formula that says, is this equal to this and this? But we'll have to join these 2 bits of criteria with a ampersand. F2 equals, is that equal to this? Ampersand this. And boy, is that a great trick for later when we get to data analysis and array formulas. Control Enter. Right now it's false. But now let's change the input to DEC. And what does it say? It says true. So that is probably the best use for, or one of the most efficient uses for the text function is to do true-false checking of dates and times and things like that. Now let's go down and see a little bit expanded version of that same problem. Now our goal here is to count the number of days in January for January 2009. And you can see we have, whoa, there's 19. I'm going to change that to 2009, although it doesn't particularly matter because it wouldn't match our criteria. But there it is. We want to somehow count. Now with my fingers, I can count January 2009. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3. But if you had 10,000 rows, you don't want to do that. Not only that, but we saw earlier in this class how to use the month and the year function. But the problem with month here is month returns 1. The year function will return the right thing. So if we were going to create a true-false formula, it would look something like that. And that is more complicated than we need to do. So we had to actually say month of that thing. When that equals 1, then please give us the word January. All right, so that's a little bit more complicated than we need to do because we know about the text function. Now our goal is to count. So here we're going to actually create a text formula. We'll use the text function. And we'll simply convert this to our January in 2009. Again, our criteria came in a funny form. And since it's demanded that we do it that way, in some cases you are required to do it that way, the text function comes in handy. So we're going to say equals that. And our custom number format will be year. Close double quote, close parentheses, Control Enter. Now that'll give us the text we want, right? Now we just need to do our true false trick. Is it equal to these? So I'm going to hit F2. Notice all the cells are highlighted. Equals this ampersand this. And all the cells are highlighted, so now I can hold Control and tap Enter. And we got a true. Oh, and there's a problem. What's the problem? Oh, we forgot to lock the cell references. Escape. I'm going to click in the top cell, F2. Oh, yeah, we forgot to lock it. So F4, F4 to lock it going across the rows. F4, F4 to lock it going across the rows. So when it copies down, it'll be locked on the criteria here. Control Enter, double click, and send it down. So then we get our true and true. Now, this is the first time we're going to talk about this in this class, trues and falses. A lot of times you need to get trues and falses converted to ones and zeros. As it sits, the word true, Excel doesn't think as the number 1. Even though in basically computers are all zeros and ones, trues and falses, binary. So how do we convert this true to a 1? Because if we could do that, we could just use the sum function and add. There's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to show you 2 ways. We talked about negation just a moment ago. Let's try this. Minus, and here's a trick right here. Notice I didn't type an equal sign. But if you put a minus or a plus or even an @ symbol or like that and then click on a cell, when we Control Enter, it'll not only put the equal sign in up there, but it puts a negative. So if we say minus a true, it gives us -1. But watch this. We can put a double negative. It says -1. The first minus gives us -1. The second minus gives us 1. And then I can double click and send that down. So that's a way to convert. Another way to convert is to just say equals true times 1. Or forget that. That's a relative cell reference, 2 to my left times 1. 1 times true will give us 1. 1 times false will give us 0. Control Enter and double click and send it down. Now these 2 methods, you might think, like I did for many years, that this is the easier way to go. And conceptually it is. It makes much more sense to me to say times 1 gives me a 1. But as you get to larger spreadsheets and more complicated formulas, the double negative will calculate faster. And I didn't believe it. I read this big white paper and then did a bunch of tests and compared timing formula calculation. And sure enough, the double negative always came out faster than the multiplying 1. Or it's sometimes very small, but when the spreadsheets got big, double negative was the ruler. It calculated much faster. So there it is, 2 different ways. Now what can we do? We can simply come up here, Alt equals, and get our set of trues and falses. Now, finally, the last, I don't want to waste an extra column here like this, so we're going to see that we can simply copy this, paste it down here, And we can amend our formula, right? We can just put our double negative, and I'm going to hit F2, highlight all of them, and hit F2. Double negative or multiplying. But wait a second. Remember, our order of precedence that we just talked about a couple videos ago comes into play here. We can't just multiply by 1. Watch this. Or F2. We can't just get rid of that and do a double negative. And the reason why, if I hit F2, is because the order of precedence, the comparative operators come way last in our list. And so if you multiply by 1, it'll multiply that by 1 way before it compares it. So then you still are left with text on this side, and it's not going to work. So the way you do it is to put it in parentheses. That's why that video, a couple videos ago about the order of precedence is so important. Because in this case, we'd be freaking out if we didn't know that. We got to put it in parentheses to tell Excel, forget it. We want you to do the comparative operator before you get to the negation or the double negative here. Control Enter, and we get our 1s. And now we can simply add them up to get the total. And that would be for our criteria January 2009, how many of those dates fall into January. All right, so that's custom number formatting and formulas using the text function and custom number formatting. That is it for this week. Number 5. All right, we'll see you next week.